Hi. I know it's Saturday. Yes, I know. But at least I'm at the right time today. It's Kim Overholt here at my studio, Overholt Arts and Entertainment Studio. Here I am live with you today, kind of saying a quick hello to everybody, and I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a fantastic day. I'm just here hanging out at my studio. I'm going to do a little tidying up around here. I've got a few days to go back to the drawing board and maybe create something fantastic and fix a few things that I've been working on too. So, as you can see, I've got my painting in the background that I'm still working on. I started fixing a little bit with the eyes, and then I got too carried away with the eyes, especially when you're doing a finger painting and you got to be little details that kind of went smushy. So I took a break from it and just kind of left it alone for a little while. And yeah, so today's Saturday. Today's Saturday, and I thought I'd draw a couple little things for you because, I love fantasy art too. It's one of my favorite things to do. And when you can combine it with not just fantasy, but you can add cartoons to it as well, it always makes it for fun. So I always tell people if you want to see more of the stuff that I do, you can always go to my website, kimoverholt.com, and see that I do art parties. And I know with the summer coming soon, and there's always booking into the Christmas time where we can start it back up again and get this really rock and have such a great 2022 coming up. So I mean, we can party with paint, and it'd be a lot of fun. And I'm going to show you, and not only just painting, like people say, it doesn't have to be just partying with paint. We can party with we can draw together, we can paint together, we can do whatever is fun for you, and gives you a little bit of insight into becoming an artist or just doing some art that's different from everybody else. So welcome to today. And yeah, Saturday is Saturday, and I love reading books, and one of my fun books to read too, of course, is the one that I made called The Plight of Time. The Plight of Time by Kim Overholt. And if you're interested, I only have it right now for the Kindle, so you can take a look at Amazon for The Plight of Time and click on it and have like a quick little read of some of the stuff that I do. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of cartooning today for you because I'm like, what can I do that'll be a little bit of interest? Yeah, make it fun for a Saturday. And I always started my Saturdays with cartoons, anyways, like those Saturday morning cartoons. I love cartoons. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to make cartoons too. Now, the basic animation was, of course, the circle. And because my last name happens to be Overholt, I learned to make a circle early when I was young. So making the O was always like, you have to trace your hand around, and it's always, it's good to just practice when you're first starting to draw out just lines, and keeping it simple for yourself when you're first starting out to making cartoons, to drawing lines, just to get your arm into practice. Lines this way, lines that way, and especially with using a marker that actually works. This one isn't working. Let me grab another marker. I've got more where that came from. So, yeah, and I've been also working on my comic book art too. So always keep in mind you can always do comic book art, and that's always fun to do too on a Saturday. But I'm going to change my marker into something that actually will write properly. Well, maybe I'll use blue. Blue is a nice color. Blue is always nice. So, and I was telling you earlier about when you create any kind of shapes, when you create the human head, you start with a circle, because even when the human face is almost like a bit of a almond shape, you would say. Um, you can kind of create something on the fly, and erase lines. I always start with a pencil and an eraser, and I work from there. Two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. And keep it simple, or you can start to get it complex and start to add more things to it as well. Oh, a little bit too far. You gotta keep in mind that he does have a forehead. Yes. You gotta have in mind. There is creatures that do have a little bit of a forehead too. So you can start to design your own characters just with little ideas here and there and create something big. And then, of course, erase all the other lines underneath. And then you have this basic idea, the shape of face. But okay, it's Saturday. I want to play a little bit. So, Saturday. Saturday cartoons are always lots of fun to do. And I read a book called Satyrday, and it was kind of a little bit of a creepy story, but it involved um, fantasy creatures, which if you read The Plight of Time, I'll write that down so that you know it's called The Plight of Time. And in The Plight of Time, it involves a boy who finds a book and it takes him into a different dimension because he reads a spell and it opens a portal that sends him into another world. I mean, you hear that all the time, but this one it's a little bit on the different side. It kind of breaks you apart at first with say, oh, well, hey, how about I draw it out for you? So I'll give you a little bit of an idea. Plight of Time. So it starts off, of course, with a satyr. I'm trying to remember his name now. It's not coming to me at the top of my head, but satyr, or what they are half human and half goat or horse kind of thing. So you could make a person say, and they have horns for some reason. So I imagine it would probably be something like if you say we're making a cartoon head. So satyrs, they have little horns. They almost sometimes get mistaken as demons sometimes, but they don't. They're not demons, that's for sure. In my particular one, he's a good guy. So, big ears. Yeah, I always make things with big ears. Okay, so something to hold on to, right? Okay, but yeah, so if we're making a satyr, obviously, okay, he's going to have horns, and I'll just make a very simple face. And he's a little bit of a devil, just because they have a tendency to drink a lot and stuff like that, from what the ones that I know. Anyways, so the bottom half is like a human, so you can draw it to about here. And then what I do is kind of like make a cutoff thing, and then you can play and change the bottom half into being like some kind of that's not really the best goat shape. And that's very simple, very simple. It looks like a bum, actually. That's terrible. That's terrible. But you know what? Erase it. You can always fix it up again. So sometimes it's good to get characters in action because sometimes having it staying still, you don't really get to see very much. So if you had him actually, say, in action, he would be more like, say, I'll give you a rough idea, and then I fill it in afterwards. It'd be like do 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 do. So say he's running. You'd have one kind of going like this. And kind of going down here like this. And he'd be running kind of. Sometimes they like to dance too, so he could be dancing. Or he could be playing like some kind of instrument or something. So playing an instrument and there we go. Something silly like that. But that's just very basic. If you want to get into a little bit more detail, of course, you think about exactly what you want to see on a face. So Um, like say if you want to get really into detail and keep it kind of comic looking, I always like to do googly eyes, which is always like just the shape of two circles, kind of like what um, Jim Davis did for Bill the Cat. I mean, Bill the Cat. I mean, Garfield, where you make the two googly eyes and you put the nose in, and you make that. And then you make the ears come out here like this. I was always pretty good at making Garfield. Something like that. But yeah, you can keep them as cartoony as you want, or you can make it as realistic as you want. When you do cartoons, the choice is yours, and that's what it comes down to is being able to see the difference. But yeah, making another like let me try and make it a little bit better, sadder. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, sometimes it's good to think of like how you imagine the tail. You can imagine him like be like a dancing over here. There's like his little feet dancing over here. He's got one foot up, and he's got the other one maybe up here too. Like maybe he's got both feet going. And that's his tail. And let's see. Okay, so he's kind of up in the air. You can make him like. Let's do some quick cartooning for you this morning. Uh, for Saturday. Make a Saturday. Blowing on his little flute that he has. La 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 la. There you go. Something silly and cute like that. I don't know. You play with things, you come up with ideas as you go. And sometimes when you get really good, you put them down and make them into animations too, which I've always enjoyed doing animation. I did this one animation back when I was in college. Uh, yeah, I did one in college of just a bouncing ball with kind of like going from here down to here and then back up to here. And they go and you get to watch all the motion of the ball stretch and squash as it goes up and down. But that's simple stuff. When you do more different kind of animations, you have to kind of get your idea of like, you see, you have an arm that's let's take here. Oh, like that, and then you have the arm kind of going. In the same motion, so it goes like whoosh. So you have that kind of thing too. You're creating a motion. Da, 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 da. So yeah, I love to just come up with ideas while I'm sitting here, and especially in the next little while, I got a few days coming up. I'm giving my ankle a rest. I'm actually standing on my this one here, so I'm giving it a rest for a while. Have a couple days off, so I'm going to be creating a little bit more cartoons. And again, part of the reason I'll show you the start of a comic book if you, for those of you who are curious about how to get it started. And like I say, I always make my own cartoons. I've always enjoyed making them, And this is the way I usually like to start them. Da, 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 da. And maybe something in between. All right, something kind of like I can do something like this. Uh-oh. Kind of like that. Actually, you know what? That's actually kind of too big. I can make another row or something a little bit smaller. So I can cut this back a bit too. Make it more square. These ones. All right, and I can do like it could be like one panel here, one panel here. Sometimes stories follow even a way, and then at the end, la, 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 the final. As you can see, the one that I was working on previously, uh, on an actual board, that you can actually make it so that they're not even. They don't have to be even, but you tell a story. So, like, here's your title. So, if you have a title for your character, or whatever the name of your character, or what the character is going to be doing in that particular scene. And this is the establishing shot. This is where you kind of, so you know where you are. You're not kind of randomly thrown into something that you don't know where you are. You say it could be like a town or city, or it could be a backyard, stuff like that. And then you get the character. You can put the character in the shot, in the establishing shot, or you can have a character. There we go. So you can have them continuing, and you can blah blah, the bridge of life, blah blah blah, something, and then finally, like you can have like so, like in the full road ahead. This you can talk about life. You can talk about whatever you want to. This thing kind of reminds me of like somebody going on a path. It's a long road. It's a long road with many a winding road. So you can say, and you go on to the end, and of course, the end. So you give yourself something to, like an idea. The character's going to do something, and there you go, kind of thing. So yeah, there's action. You want to keep it kind of interesting and kind of fascinating so that it makes a good read. You want to have something just keep on talking through the whole thing in it, unless they're making a good point, of course. But if not, why bother, right? Okay, so there's an idea. I always love to give ideas on a Saturday because even I'm going to be doing some of my own stuff today, and gives me an idea too what to kind of get into. So, so what I've been really digging lately is getting into old movies and things like that too. So digging some of the old storylines and things like that, and with doing any kind of story, you can make it on the fly, or you can take examples from older stories too, and make up your own as well. So there's always ways of creating. So that's one way, and of course that's storylines when you're doing comic books and stuff like that. But when you're just on your own and you want to draw something, starting with circles is usually the best way. And I'm kind of trying to think of something I could draw for you that would give you a good idea. Mhm. Well, let me see. Again, starting with circles is always the best way to go because you can create all kinds of things. And like I say, Even when you are making a face, even if you're creating a body, say, no, I'm grab my eraser again. Let's say we want to make something a little bit more realistic. Okay, so you keep in mind 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The size of a human body is about the size of eight. What, 8 heads for a full adult, and I think it's what, like 6 to 3 for children, that kind of thing. Where you kind of like for making a proportion. So if you were starting at the top with somebody's body, make their, they can of course come down like this, create their body here, to about there, for realistic purposes, and then we start with the legs down to here. And the size of a person should be about the same height. And as you're getting smaller, if you're drawing kids, of course, the kids are smaller, so they would be a smaller stature. Yeah, you could make them even that way, so here. If you're drawing hobbits, say you want to draw a hobbit. Okay. So, simple hobbit, a little bit smaller than the actual average man, of course. Drawing fantasy creatures are always a lot of fun to do. And, I'm giving you very basic. I could sit and draw, and I'd probably be silent for hours showing you how to do this. But I want to show you so that you can get yourself motivated to do this too. Because, I mean, the great thing about doing stuff is that being able to tell a story and have people enjoy it too. And I've got several stories that I still have to make into something that's a little bit more realistic. So yeah, today's one of those days where it's just kind of like I've got a few projects to work on, and this is see what happened the other day is I was working on this too, and then all of a sudden I kind of like my brain went kind of funny on me, and proportions went out of proportion. So I'm working to get it fixed again to make it look a little nicer, but I can work on this a little bit too. Yeah. Anyways, so these are the kind of things I'm going to be working on today. And if you guys are ever interested and have any questions, just let me know. I can show you what to do as well. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and maybe I'll come back a little bit later with a little bit more to give you. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And whatever you do it with style. And I so appreciate you being here. And as my mom would say, peace, oh brother, with a little bit added, a little bit of love for everybody. And I hope you have a fantastic day.